Man, Michael Thomas is injured again.
What the hell?
So he's having surgery on, what was it, dislocated toe? Good luck wearing flip-flops the rest of your life, by the way.
Hey, that hits close to home for me. I had one of those. I still haven't gotten it operated on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I do not wear sandals around people that I don't know very often. Got some bad feet, man.
Yeah, you're in the Crocs aisle for the rest of your life.
Birkenstocks, depending on the time of year.
So Michael Thomas gets injured again, and so this is a guy who, in 2019, he signed a $100 million extension.
Is this unlucky? Is this because he got paid and now he's like, maybe this season isn't?
Remember he had that weird thing where he opted to have surgery late, and then he ended up sitting out for longer, and they were like, oh, they got mad at him about something. There was like a back and forth. Sean Payton was upset about it, and now he comes back. He's injured again. He's missed 31 games in the last less than 3 years.
After signing a
$100 million.
A 9-digit contract, which that's shocking how that happens.
He was the best receiver in football.
For that year, yeah. He set
149 grabs. I think Cooper Kupp broke that last year, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, but 149 grabs, and then signs that big deal, and he's just been riddled with injuries ever since. That's crazy, man.
Some part of me, though, too, does wonder, and I'll throw this out there, LaVar. They've moved on from Drew Brees. Drew Brees is first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the most prolific passers we've ever seen is him and Tom Brady would tussle back and forth over what I deem, by the way, as the regular season passing yards record.
Yeah.
Because if you include playoffs, no one's even close to Tom Brady, it's the dumbest thing. I'm not going to get off on a tangent and go there. It's the stupidest thing that we don't include the postseason as part of that. I digress. Is any part in your mind, LaVar, thinking like, all right, I got paid, and if I'm going to play, I don't want to play with a quarterback situation that at one point was maybe Taysom Hill. Now it's Andy Dalton, who apparently has taken over for Jameis Winston, even though he's healthy. I mean, it seems like the water's a little murky, and maybe he's like, I don't know how this whole thing's going to work out in New Orleans. Do you think that enters into his mind?
It's been known to happen.
Really? Really?
Career-changing injuries have been known to happen. And when you say career-changing, meaning that you don't end up playing a season for a team because you got, most people call them the soft tissue injuries. And you get soft tissue injuries because you cannot gauge or measure when you're able to go. It's like everything checks out. They did the perfect rehab time, and yet they still aren't feeling well enough to go out there and perform. And you have to respect it, because it's like if you don't take the caution of it, they really could. And you have to take into consideration like hamstrings or quads or ankles. Well, maybe not so much ankles, but definitely those soft tissue areas and the weight bearing areas. You gotta play it by ear. And so this one is. I mean, if you got to get surgery, I don't know that you can fake that. But the idea of an injury preventing you from being able to play and a player milking the injury, that's something that happens. Like, I've never been a guy that's done that. I've never really felt like I've had a reason to ever do that. I mean, I guess the reason would have been I was playing for a poor organization. I'm just curious,
because I know there's been some guys who have played through injuries where, hey, they could have surgery, but you could also push it off. And I don't know the specifics to this injury.
But would you, if your team was struggling or didn't have a real definitive destination connected to another PJ, connected to what's going on with your team, would you risk your health? Would you play through it?
Well, that's it's a valid question, and I think after you get paid a huge contract, it's probably not something that
like,
you're
why
really
would I
motivated
do that,
to do, right?
Yeah, why would you do that?
You're not trying to sacrifice for that big deal. You already got the deal. So
you already got your deal.
Yeah, to your point, I think it's a business decision, and it's one that is more centered around your long-term well-being, and so I get that perspective of it. I wonder how much the quarterback situation in New Orleans has to do with it. And then, because you can't say they're out of it. They're not out of the NFC South at this point. The defense had its best game last week.
Yep.
It's almost like he started going that direction where he said, Drew Brees is gone, I'm going to slow play the injury. And it almost was like bad luck. Like he gave himself some bad luck, and now he's just having to deal with it. I just wonder, this many injuries in a row and now the toe, is he ever going to be the same receiver?
But let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this, though. Is Devontae Adams doing really well this year?
No.
Okay,
but the Raiders aren't either.
So think about this. Is it a matter of being in situations where you can't be the best receiver that's played or best receiver? He was considered the best receiver in the game. He won Offensive Player of the Year at one point.
Yep.
And he did all of that with Drew Brees. So when you think about it, would we even see him as the same player without Drew Brees? And maybe that's a factor in all of this as well. It's like, I got this $100 million contract, and chances are these guys can't put the ball where Drew Brees put the ball, or they don't understand my route running, or I mean, just what a great quarterback can do in these scenarios.
I don't know that he'd ever be able to replicate what he did anyway, purely because of what they have now on the roster. Like, you've got Chris Olave, who's a bright star or a budding star as a rookie this year. When Jarvis Landry's healthy in there, that's going to take away some targets too. And then you've also got Alvin Kamara in the backfield that you're also going to utilize in the passing game. So if you go back to that year, it was just Michael Thomas. It was like, all right, and that was what always made me so impressed.
It was Thomas and Jared Cook. That's all it was.
But if
Kamara.
But if you're like, who am I going to take away?
Yeah.
You're going to double Michael Thomas every single time. Like, it wasn't even debatable. There would be times where they could just play man, and they'd have the free safety or the free player basically play over to Michael Thomas, and they would still complete passes. He'd still catch 10, 12 balls a game. And that was what always blew my mind, was like, how can you not stop this dude? And they don't have anyone else really to go to. And now they've got all those guys. So I don't know that he would statistically be able to do that regardless of, even if Brees was there, because they have so much other talent to throw to.
From 2016 to 2019, he had 470 receptions.
Did you just do the math on your phone?
No, just in my head.
Oh, okay.
Savant.
That's impressive.
Savant.
That's impressive.
I mean, come on.
You know, Pro Football Reference has you can just add it up by dragging the bars.
I'm not on Pro Football Reference.
Oh, that's
so
weird.
I don't know what you're looking at right now. That's not. That's something else. You should see what I got in the other tab.
I'll tell you what, man. Doing a show in live with Jonas, there are a lot of things you see behind the scenes that he really plays up.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing on my screen. Okay. There's nothing there. Look, you can't see a damn thing on my screen.
What was that website that LaVar said? It looks like it's on the browser history.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's on the other tab.
It's a with a color.
Red something?
Yeah. What you said, what I said.
Yeah, it's.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
Wow,
that one says you.
Yeah.
You can't say that either.
But
You poor.
You poor SOB.
Yeah, why do you have all these on your browser history?
Yeah, by the way, speaking of that website, Andy Furman, can I borrow your password to get on there? We just want to look at some stuff.
I thought you was about to do another live read.
But no. So since 2019, he's got 56 catches. It's over. He's never going to be the same player.
I think if you factor in injuries and age, you would say it's working against him. But here's what I'd say in his defense. DeAndre Hopkins, granted, served the 6-game suspension, so he's got fresh legs. Look at him since he's gotten in the league. No one's caught more balls. No one's been more productive than him so far. And I believe Hopkins is older than Michael Thomas. I think he's at least maybe a year or two, right?
Thomas is going to be 30 next season.
I think Hopkins is at least 30, if not 31, 32, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's not a good situation, but we see how it pans out there with Michael Thomas and the New Orleans Saints.